Now that we've talked through the different methods of bringing video footage into Premiere Pro, in this tutorial I'm going to look more specifically at one of those methods that I actually alluded to. I'm talking about using the Capture Control panel so that we can import digital video tape directly into Premiere Pro. To be able to do this, I need to create a new project, so I'll click on the New Project option here. Now for this example, I'm not too concerned about setting up these different parameters. I'll leave them all at the preset, so I'll hit OK. Now simply because I've already got a project called Untitled on my system, I'm prompted about this. Do I want to overwrite it? Well, I do, so I'll hit Yes. OK, all set up with a new project. To be able to get to the Capture panel, come up to File and then drop down to that option there, Capture, noticing the shortcut is F5. OK, and then this Capture panel opens up. Now at the moment you'll notice here, textually we are told the capture device is offline. Well, this only means that my digital video camera is not actually connected at the moment to Premiere Pro. As soon as you do connect with a FireWire cable from the camera into a FireWire input on your PC, then this message will change. For the moment, I'm not too concerned with actually bringing in some video footage. I'm just going to talk you through the principles of what we do. You'll see over to the right that we have two tabs, Logging and Settings. We'll come to Settings in a moment. But notice with logging, it's this panel that we use to set up our video being imported, and we log or catalog in exactly the textual way all the different clips that are brought in. I'll get back to this again in a moment. For the present time, I'll flick over to Settings, and you'll see in this grey box just underneath the capture settings are set to Capture Format DV, Digital Video. There's no real reason to change this, but should you want to, hit that edit button there. As soon as you do, you'll see this capture settings dialog where you're offered a capture format choice of DV or HDV. I'll go back to DV and hit OK. Moving down to the capture locations area, you'll see at the moment that the video footage that we are about to capture, i.e. bring in from the camera, will be saved in the same location on my hard drive as the project. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, but of course you can choose a different path, and you can see the path just underneath. Well, you can choose a different path, first of all by clicking on here, and you can change it to your My Documents main folder, or you can go to a custom folder. I'll leave it as same as project. But alternatively, there's this Browse button if you want to navigate to a different folder altogether on your system. You'll also notice that just underneath the path, you'll see how much available space you've got on your system. At the moment, I've got just over 222 gigabytes. Bearing in mind, digital footage does take up a considerable amount of space. All the same, more than 220 gig should suffice for the moment. Underneath here, the same principle applies when we're talking about the audio component of your video. If the video's embedded audio is of good enough quality, then you'll just simply leave this as it is, saving that audio in the same project. But if you don't want to use the audio, simply because you want to replace it with something better, then of course you can click on here and choose not to bring it in. Moving down to device control, to be honest, you may as well leave this as it is. However, if you do want to be more specific to your particular digital video camera, then you can change this device here. You can change it to none or leave it as the default there. Alternatively, by clicking on Options, we now see this extra dialog, and you can choose your video standard. It's set to NTSC by default. Well, that's fine for America, but here in the UK, I'd prefer this to be PAL, so I'll change it to PAL. And if I do want to choose a particular camera, then I can click on the device brand here and change it to any of these. I'll go for Canon, and then with this resulting reveal list, I'll choose the specific camera, XM2. You'll see other options here about the timecode format. Choose this appropriately for your project. You can see at the moment that my camera is offline, as I've already indicated. Therefore now all I need to do is hit OK. And then now down here we see next to my current device that this device control is set up specifically for the Canon XM2. Just underneath you'll see some further options about pre-roll time, timecode offset, and this checkbox here about whether when you are importing your footage, whether the capture process aborts if any drop frames are detected. And then once you're all set up, moving over to the main area at the left, well, I know it's black at the moment, but that will indicate a preview of the footage that's been brought in. And then underneath, you'll see these timecode areas to indicate the start and end position and in and out positions too. And also, but faded out, are the controls just underneath. Play, forward, fast forward, stop, capture, skipping, etc., etc. Let me go back up to my logging tab. Okay, now the first option is Setup, where it says Capture. Now we have got this set to capture the audio and the video, but if you didn't want the audio, remember me saying this a few moments ago, perhaps the audio quality isn't very good and you want to replace it. Well, by clicking on here, you can choose to bring in, as we've got at the moment, both the audio and the video, or just the audio, or just the video. I'll leave it set to audio and video. This will mean even though the audio might not be very good quality, it's still worth bringing it in, so I've got sonic clues if I need to line up better recorded location audio. Once lined up with the better audio, then I can either mute or delete that poor quality audio. Okay, and then moving down to where it says clip data. You might have shot your footage over separate tapes, maybe you've got 5 or 6. Well, give your tape a name so that you can identify it. You would give your clips separate names too. Whatever you state in this clip name field, maybe you've stated it's Anglesey, well, as each individual clip comes in, then this will numerically increase. Anglesey 1, Anglesey 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. If you want to, you can give it a description. Effectively, this is just metadata. It's not going to show up on your video footage, of course. It's just embedded textual information that you might want to use when you are searching through, looking for a particular clip. Possibly this information will be of use to you if you are logging later on with a program like Adobe's Bridge. Moving down to the bottom, you see these timecode settings, whereby you can set an in point and an out point. And then below that, although slightly greyed out again, because the camera isn't connected, is this capture area. And in actual fact, in terms of capturing, all you need to do really, once your camera is connected, is click on this record button down here. Noticing the shortcut is G. These other buttons are probably self-explanatory, stop and pause and forwards and backwards, etc. This will allow you to quickly move through your tapes, searching for particular areas, and this can be done because it's digital videotape, rather than, in contrast to what we talked about in the previous tutorial, bringing in analog footage, where these controls wouldn't be operable. Finally, one other thing I do want to point out is down here, although greyed out, where it says Scene Detect. If you filmed your footage using lots of different scenes, i.e. you filmed for 30 seconds and then you filmed for another minute, and then maybe 10 seconds and then 4 minutes or whatever, then having this checkbox checked will mean all those clips get brought in as separate files, rather than one long 60-minute file that you have then subsequently got to break up into the separate sections. Well, having this checked here means as soon as a scene is detected on the tape, Premiere Pro will still continue to capture, but will differentiate by creating distinct clips. Okay, so that's the capture device control panel that we use when we want to bring in digital videotape.